Hello children, today I am going to take biology for the standard of 6. This is your second part of the bridge course. Let us move into the topic. So today you will be learning about the 5 kingdom classification. What is it? 5 kingdom classification. Before going to detail about the 5 kingdom classification, I am going to tell about what is classification first. Classifying a group of organisms into according to their characters. Plants should be in such and such group. Animals should be in a different group. The insects should be in a different group. Likewise, grouping the organisms according to their nature or character, that is called classification. For example, I am giving you a basket full of different types of fruits. Example, apple, banana, pineapple, strawberry. I am giving many types of fruits mixed together in one bowl. Then what happens? I am giving you different 5 baskets. So I am asking you to separate it. What you will do by the appearance, by the look of it, you will try to separate the fruits. So this is called classification. Classifying them, grouping them is called classification. So like separating the fruits, like grouping the fruits, here they have grouped the living things into 5 types based on the characters. Like you are grouping the fruits into different ones, they have grouped according to their characteristics. That is, they took all the living things in the world. They took all the plants, insects and small algae, the tiny unicellular bacteria that we cannot see. So what they took all the organisms together and grouped them into 5 kingdoms. So now we will start explaining about the 5 kingdom classification. So who discovered it? R.H. Whittaker. He is an American taxonomist. So taxonomist means they are the ones who classify. The classifying process, the study is called taxonomy. So studying about this classification alone is called taxonomy. So the people who do them are called as taxonomists. So R.H. Whittaker, he is an American taxonomist. He is the one who formulated the 5 kingdom classification. Now they took all the living things together and grouped into Monera, Protista, fungi, plants and then animals. What are these? Monera, Protista, fungi, plants and animals. These are the 5 kingdoms. From a whole has living things, they have grouped them into 5. Now we will see what are them in detail. First is Monera. Monera are prokaryotic bacteria. Monera are bacteria. It includes all the bacteria. The prokaryotic bacteria. Prokaryotic means they are the lower organisms. Only one cell will be present. They are unicellular. Only one cell will do all the activities of the whole body itself. That cell only will be responsible for all the activities. For moving, for nutrition, for excretion, everything. One cell only works. So that is called prokaryotes. Those are called only prokaryotes. So these prokaryotic bacteria are grouped under Monera. Next is Protista. Protista means unicellular eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are the higher organisms. They are the well-defined cells. In eukaryotes only you will have a nucleus, you will have the mitochondria, lysosome and all those structures. They are the well-defined ones, the eukaryotes. So that type of cell will be present in Protista, but they will be unicellular. The cell is well developed, but the number is less. Only one cell will be present. Unicellular, single cell organism. That single cell will be eukaryotic cell. So that So there is a difference between Monera and Protista. Here prokaryotes are present, here eukaryotes are present. So that's why they are placed in different groups. Next, moving to the fungi. Fungi are multicellular fungi. So these fungi are non-chlorophyllous. No chlorophyll will be present. They won't be green. They cannot synthesize their own food. They depend on other organisms for nutrition. So, but they will be multicellular, not unicellular. Here, these both are unicellular. But coming here, they are multicellular fungi. Next is plants. You know, all the plants that we see around, that which grows in forests, the mountains and all, will be under plants. So they are multicellular plants. Multicellular means the huge plants, all those will be put under the plants. And animals means all the animals. The multicellular animals will be put under the animals group. First is Monera. In that prokaryotic bacteria will be placed. In Protista, unicellular eukaryotes will be placed. In fungi, multicellular fungi will be placed. In plants, multicellular plants will be placed. And in animals, multicellular animals will be placed. So these are the 5 kingdom classification. Now we will see one by one in detail. So first is kingdom Monera. First we are going to take this alone, the Monera alone in detail. So what we saw here, they are prokaryotic bacteria, that is single cell bacteria, not well defined organelles will be present in this bacteria. So this Monera is divided into 2 types. One is Archaebacteria and the other is Eubacteria. And this Archaebacteria is divided into 3 types. One is halophiles, second is thermoacidophiles, and third is methanogens. And here this Eubacteria is divided into bacteria and cyanobacteria. So these are the different types of Monera. So first is Archaebacteria. So this Archaebacteria is an ancient bacteria. It is very primitive. It has been evolved many hundreds and 500 years before. So it is very ancient. It is very old. It is an ancient bacteria. The Archaebacteria is an ancient bacteria. Next is harsh habitats. These Archaebacteria will be surviving only in very harsh, very extreme cold condition, very extreme hot condition, where there is full of salt water content, high salt water content places. In the soil also the salt content will be high. In those places, these Archaebacteria will grow. So they will grow only in harsh habitats, not the normal ones. Then the third is they have different cell wall and features. So comparing to the other bacteria and the other types of bacteria, they will have a different cell wall and features. Why? Because they have to survive those harsh conditions. That is, they have to survive in the high salt content place or in the hot place. For that, they need a special character to survive. That's why they have special cell wall and features. So these are the 3 points on Archaebacteria. Archaebacteria are ancient bacteria. They survive in harsh habitats and different cell wall and features will be present. So next, moving on to Eubacteria. So Eubacteria is divided into bacteria and cyanobacteria. So bacteria, sole members of Monera. Sole members of Monera. Sole members means they are the main members. They play an important role in the kingdom Monera. So this Monera consists mostly of bacteria only. That is why they are the sole members. They are the main important members of this Monera kingdom. So next is abundant and present everywhere. Abundant and present everywhere. So abundant means only, and they will be present everywhere. Bacteria is present everywhere. It is present in the air, it is present in the soil, it is present in the water. So bacteria is present everywhere. So it is abundant in the group. Most of the members are bacteria only, and they are present everywhere. Example: Bacillus and Vibrio. Bacillus and Vibrio. So these two are the names of the two bacteria. So next, moving on to cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria. So from eubacteria, they are divided into two types. One is bacteria and cyanobacteria. We saw what is bacteria, and we are now moving to the cyanobacteria. So this cyanobacteria are blue-green algae. They are the blue-green algae. Why? Means they will be in bluish and greenish color. So that's why they tell it as blue-green algae. So cyan here means blue. So that is why they call it as cyanobacteria. So blue-green algae. Usually algae will be in green color. Since the blue shade is given, they took the name it as cyanobacteria. Cyan means blue. So these are the blue-green algae, and they are photosynthetic autotrophs. Photosynthetic autotrophs. Why? Means they have the green color. That because the photosynthesis can be possible. Since the chlorophyll is present, with the help of sunlight and water and carbon dioxide, they can produce starch. That is the nutrition for the plant. So photosynthesis process is possible. Why? Because green algae, green means chlorophyll. So since it is possible, they are called as autotrophs. Why? Because they prepare their own food. They do not depend on other organisms for nutrition. So they are photosynthetic autotrophs. Photosynthetic autotrophs. Next is we are going to see the three types of archaebacteria. First is halophiles. Halophiles. These halophiles, what we saw, archaebacteria means they will survive in harsh conditions, very extreme conditions. So halophiles means salty areas where the salt content, the chemical salt content is very high. In those places, these halophiles will survive. So in salty areas, high salty areas, halophiles will be present. Next is thermoacidophiles. Thermoacidophiles in hot springs where it is very hot. The places where hot springs, it is like a smoke, white smoke, but there the heat will be at very large amount. It will be very hot there. Smoke will come, hot smokes and springs will come from the land. So that is called hot springs. In those hot, very hot conditions, these thermoacidophiles will survive. So these are the types of bacteria. So thermoacidophiles will survive in hot springs. Here thermo means hot, heat. So that's why they are called as thermoacidophiles. Next is methanogens, the third one, methanogens. So methanogens means marshy areas. So marshy means where it is very wet and very slippery. Those places are called marshy areas. In those places, these methanogens will survive. In marshy areas, methanogens will survive. So this is about the kingdom Monera. So there are 5 kingdoms. In that we saw the types, how these Monera are divided into, and their subheadings and examples also we saw. I will give you a recap from first. First we saw the 5 kingdom classification. Who discovered it? R.H. Whittaker is an American taxonomist. So we go into the classification. In this classification, all the living things are taken and they are divided into 5 groups. First is Monera, Protista, fungi, plants and animals. very primitive, not well-defined cells are called prokaryotes. So those prokaryotic bacteria are put under Monera. In Protista, unicellular eukaryotes. So eukaryotes means well-defined cell organelles are called eukaryotes. Here, those unicellular eukaryotes are put under Protista. And in fungi, multicellular fungi are put under, and in plants, multicellular plants are placed, and in animals, multicellular animals are placed. So these are the 5 kingdom classification. Now we are going to see kingdom Monera in detail. So Monera is divided into Archaebacteria, new bacteria. This Archaebacteria is divided into halophiles, thermoacidophiles and methanogens, and this eubacteria is divided into bacteria and cyanobacteria. So archaea, we are saying the archaebacteria, those are the ancient bacteria and they survive only in harsh habitats and they have different cell wall and features. Compared to the other bacteria, they will be very different. Next, we are moving on to the eubacteria. Eubacteria is divided into bacteria and cyanobacteria. So bacteria are the sole members of Monera. They are the important members of Monera and they are abundant, more in number and present everywhere. They will be present everywhere. Example, Bacillus and Vibrio. Next is cyanobacteria. So cyanobacteria are blue-green algae and they are photosynthetic autotrophs. Since they can prepare their own food, they are called photosynthetic autotrophs. Next, we are going to see the 3 types of archaebacteria. First is halophiles. Halophiles means where there are extreme salty areas. And next is thermoacidophiles means where hot springs, very hot conditions where springs, hot smokes will arise from the land. Those are called hot springs. In those places, thermoacidophiles will survive. And in methanogens, that is marshy areas, in slippery and very moist content, where there is moist content is high, in those places these methanogens will survive. Next, we are going to see about the kingdom Protista. First we saw kingdom Monera, second one is kingdom Protista. So this kingdom Protista, what we saw the characteristic, it has unicellular eukaryotes. So unicellular means single cell organism, but the cell type will be eukaryote, that is well developed cell organelles will be present. So they have unicellular eukaryotes. Now we are going to see them in detail. Example, protozoans and algae. So all the protozoans and algae comes under Protista only, whereas in Monera we saw bacteria comes under Monera. In Protista, protozoans and algae are included. So they are the connecting link between Monera and other complex multicellular kingdom. So they are the connecting link. So why they tell this? They have the characteristic of Monera. Example, they are unicellular, they are very minute. Whereas comparing to the complex multicellular kingdom means they have the eukaryotic cell. So they exhibit both the lower kingdom and the higher complex multicellular kingdom also. So that's why they tell it is the connecting link between Monera and other complex multicellular kingdom. It exhibits the character of Monera, that is they are unicellular, and it also exhibits the complex multicellular kingdom, that is the eukaryotic cell. So that is why it is called as the connecting link. Next we are moving on to the divisions of kingdom Protista. So Protista is divided into chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and protozoans. I am repeating it. Chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and finally protozoans. So first we are going to see about the chrysophytes. They are microscopic, planktonic and photosynthetic. So first is microscopic. So these chrysophytes are very small. They cannot be seen through the naked eye. We can't just see like itself. We have to view them only in microscope. So that is why they are called as microscopic. These chrysophytes are microscopic. Planktonic, they are very small, minute creatures. They are the most lower form, very small creatures. So that is why they are called as planktonic. Since they are related to plants, that's why they are called as planktonic. Small, tiny creatures are called planktonic. And photosynthetic. Since chlorophyll is present, they can do the photosynthesis process. With the presence of chlorophyll, sunlight and carbon dioxide, starch is produced. So that is why they are called as photosynthetic. They don't have to depend on other organisms for food or nutrition. They can prepare their own food with the help of sunlight, water and carbon dioxide. That is why it is called as photosynthetic. They are microscopic, planktonic and photosynthetic. Chrysophytes are microscopic, planktonic and photosynthetic. Example, diatoms. So diatoms are small microscopic creatures. They are photosynthetic and it is an example for chrysophytes. Example, diatoms. Next is dinoflagellates. So these dinoflagellates are marine. Marine means they live in salt water only, the sea water. So in such places, these dinoflagellates will survive. They are also photosynthetic. What I said, in the presence of chlorophyll, sunlight and carbon dioxide, the starch is produced. So that's why they are called as photosynthetic. They don't have to depend on other organisms for food. And they also live in fresh water also. So these are aquatic creatures. They live in salt water also and also in fresh water. When the salt content is high also they can survive. When they are fresh water where there is salt content is low, so there also they survive. Dinoflagellates survive both in marine and fresh water. Example, Noctiluca. Noctiluca is an example for dinoflagellates. They may be marine or fresh water and they are photosynthetic. So these are the characteristics of dinoflagellates. Next is euglenoids. They also survive in fresh water but not in marine water. So these euglenoids are present in river, pond where the drinking water is present. So where the salt content is low. In those places, these euglenoids can survive. They survive in fresh water and in damp soils. So damp soils means this wet soil where the moisture content is high, where it is little slippery and where it is always wet. In those places, euglenoids grow. So they have pellicle. Pellicle means the outer covering. It has a thin outer covering. So those are called pellicle. So these are the three characteristics of euglenoids. First is they are survive in fresh water. They survive in damp soils. They also survive in water and also in soils. And finally, they have pellicle. So pellicle is a thin outer layer. It is covered by a thin outer layer. So those are called as pellicle. Example, euglena. So for euglenoids example, euglena. Now we are going to see about the slime molds. This is the fourth category of Protista. So these slime molds are fungus animal. That is, they do not have chlorophyll, so they come under animals. So they are like fungi. So these are fungus animal. And next is achlorophyllus. That is, no chlorophyll is present. So they are called achlorophyllus. And finally saprophytic. Since they are achlorophyllus, chlorophylls, they have to depend on other organisms for nutrition, for food. So what they do, they are saprophytic, that is, they feed on the dead and decayed organisms. The waste materials, they feed on those materials for nutrition. So that is why they are called as saprophytic. So these slime molds are fungus animal. They have the characteristic of some characteristics of fungus, and they are an animal because no chlorophyll is present. So it is a fungus animal. Achlorophyllus means no chlorophyll is present, and saprophytic, that is, they feed on dead and decayed matters. Then the fifth one is the protozoans. So these protozoans are aquatic or terrestrial. So aquatic means they live in water, they can survive in water, and also in land, or terrestrial, also in land. So these protozoans can survive in water or terrestrial, and free living or parasites. So free living, they can live on any condition. So they can survive on any condition. So those are called free living. Some protozoans are free living and some are parasites. That is, they feed on the host plant. They go attached to the host plant and suck up the nutrients as food. So these are parasites. So some are free living and some are parasites. And finally, covered by pellicle. So covered by pellicle means it is a thin layer around present, so called pellicle. So they are covered by pellicle. Here we saw in euglenoids also pellicle is present. In protozoans also this pellicle is present. So these protozoans are of four types. One is amoeboid, then second is flagellated, then the third is ciliated, and fourth is sporozoa. So amoeboid. Amoeboid means if it is like an amoeba, if the structure is like an amoeba, it is called as amoeboid. And flagellated. Flagellated means when long hairs are present for movement, then they are called as flagellated. And the third is ciliated. So these long hairs, when they are a little shorter, they are called as ciliated. So flagella are very long hairs and they are used for movement, and ciliated means the cilia is a little bit shorter than flagella, but they are also used for movement. And last is the sporozoa. So this sporozoa has spores. If any protozoan has spores in it, then it is called as sporozoa. So these are the four types of protozoans. We are going to see a recap of it. So, kingdom Protista, the protozoans and algae come under kingdom Protista. Then they are the connecting link between Monera and other complex multicellular kingdoms. So they are the connecting link between Monera and other complex multicellular kingdom. So they have the characteristics of Monera as well as the characteristics of multicellular kingdom. Monera means they are unicellular. So that characteristic is present in Protista, and complex multicellular kingdom. From this, eukaryote is present. So that is why they are the link between Monera and complex multicellular kingdom. So this Protista is divided into 5 types. So chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and protozoans. So chrysophytes are microscopic, they are very minute, and planktonic means the small creatures, and photosynthetic. So they have chlorophyll, they can prepare their own food through photosynthesis. So they are photosynthetic. Example, diatoms. Dinoflagellates are marine, so they live in salt water, and photosynthetic. Chlorophyll is present, so they can prepare their own food, and they can also live in fresh water. Comparing to the salt water also, they can also live in both marine water and fresh water. Example, Noctiluca. And the third is euglenoids. So these euglenoids are survive in fresh water. So here they live in marine and fresh water, both the conditions, but in euglenoids it is present only in fresh water. And in damp soils where the soil is very wet, in such places euglenoids are present, and pellicle is the outer thin covering covered by the euglenoids. An example, euglena. See, so the fourth one is slime moles. Slime moles are fungus animal. They have some of the characteristics of fungi. So they are a fungus animal. Achlorophyllous. No chlorophyll is present, and saprophytic. They feed on dead and decayed organisms for living. So next is the protozoans. They are aquatic or terrestrial. They can live in water as well as in land also. They are free living or parasites. Free living means they can survive on any condition. Parasites means they feed on the host plant. They get attached to the host plant and suck up their nutrition, and covered by pellicle. Pellicle means it is a thin covering. So these are the four types of protozoans. First is amoeboid. If it is like an amoeba structure, it is called amoeboid. Flagellated means when long hairs are present for movement, they are flagellated. Ciliated means when short hairs are present but they are also used for movement. So those organisms are ciliated protozoa, and the last one is sporozoa. If spores are present for reproduction in protozoans, they come under sporozoa protozoan. The next is kingdom phylum. First we saw Protista, then we saw Monera, and now it is kingdom fungi. So the third kingdom is kingdom fungi. So in this it is eukaryotic. So comparing to Monera and Protista, this kingdom fungi is a little higher organism. Here you can find the eukaryotic cells. That is, the cell organelles are well defined, and achlorophyllous. So achlorophyll means the chlorophyll pigment is absent. So no photosynthesis takes place. When there is no photosynthesis and chlorophyll, what happens? It depends on other organisms for nutrition. So they are achlorophyllous. So from this itself we can tell they are dependent on other organisms. They are not autotrophs, they are heterotrophs. And they are heterotrophic. I told you already, since there is no chlorophyll, they are achlorophyllous. They are heterotrophic. They depend on other organisms, other small microorganisms for nutrition. And they are spore bearing. So the reproduction will be with the spores only. The fertilization of these spores only happens. Yeah, that is why it is spore bearing. The spores are present and they are non-vascular. Non-vascular means the xylem and phloem will be absent. The anatomy, if you notice, means the xylem and phloem will be absent. So the xylem carries water and phloem carries the food materials. Those won't be present in fungi. So these are the characteristics of fungi. First is they are eukaryotic, they are achlorophyllous, they are heterotrophic, they are spore bearing, and finally non-vascular. This fungi is divided into four types. So first is the phycomycetes. First is the phycomycetes. Mycetes means fungi. Mycology, mycetes. These are all related to fungi only. So the first type is the phycomycetes. These phycomycetes, they have aquatic habitats. They live in water. They are aquatic. They only survive in water. So these phycomycetes will survive in aquatic habitats. They are known as the lower fungi. These phycomycetes are known as the lower fungi. In the fungi kingdom, it is the lower organism. Example, Rhizopus. Rhizopus is an example for phycomycetes. They have aquatic habitats, and lower fungi is also known as phycomycetes. The second one is ascomycetes. These ascomycetes are saprophytes. Saprophytes means they depend on the decayed matter, the dead matter. get the nutrition. So they are saprophytes and multicellular. They are not unicellular, they are multicellular. Many cells will be present in that organism. So each group of cells will have their own specific functions. So they are saprophytes, they depend on the dead and decayed organisms, and they are multicellular. These ascomycetes are also known as sap fungi. It is another name for ascomycetes. Example, Neurospora. Here we saw Rhizopus. For ascomycetes, example, Neurospora. These ascomycetes are sporophytes and they are multicellular. Ascomycetes is also called as sap fungi. Example, Neurospora. Then the third is the Basidiomycetes. Basidiomycetes. So they are mushrooms. The umbrella-like mushrooms comes under Basidiomycetes. The mushrooms and bracket fungi. So these type of fungi comes under Basidiomycetes. Example, club fungi. So Basidiomycetes is also called as club fungi. Example, Agaricus. Agaricus. For Basidiomycetes, example, Agaricus. So Basidiomycetes are nothing but the umbrella-shaped mushroom that we saw. So those comes under Basidiomycetes and also bracket fungi. They are also known as club fungi. Example, Agaricus. The third, last one is the Deuteromycetes. Deuteromycetes. Their vegetative phase is known. The vegetative phase is known means that is before the reproduction phase itself, their vegetative phase, that is the duration taken for their growth will be known. Before reproduction itself, so much in period of time will be taken for growth. So in Deuteromycetes, the vegetative phase is known. That is before reproduction itself, the rate of growth will be known. That is called as the vegetative phase is known. So in Deuteromycetes, the vegetative phase are known. So they are called as fungi imperfect. Fungi imperfect. Example, Fusarium. For Deuteromycetes, example, Fusarium. So these are the four subtopics under fungi. First is Phycomycetes, the Ascomycetes, the Basidiomycetes, and finally the Deuteromycetes. Then moving on to the next kingdom, kingdom Plantae. So kingdom Plantae means all the multicellular plants are put under kingdom Plantae. So they are eukaryotic, that is well-defined cell organelles are present. So chlorophyll, the presence of chlorophyll is there. So here we saw achlorophyll. So the chlorophyll is absent. Chlorophyll means the chlorophyll is present. That is photosynthesis process takes place. With the help of sunlight, carbon dioxide and water, they can produce their starch. They do not depend on other organisms for food. And they are photosynthetic. So chlorophyll means the photosynthesis process is possible. So they are photosynthetic and multicellular. First step we saw in kingdom Plantae, all the multicellular, many celled organisms comes under Plantae. All the multicellular plants comes under Plantae. So it is multicellular. So first it is eukaryotic, chlorophyll, photosynthetic, and finally multicellular. They are partially insectivorous, like insectivorous of parasites. So these kingdom Plantae, they not only are vegetative, they are sometimes they are insectivorous also. They consume the small insects also. So for example, the pitcher plant and Venus flytrap, these are the names of the insectivorous plants. What these plants will do, they will have a mouth opening like this. It will be open for the prey to get trapped. When any fly comes inside this plant, it will close and it will digest it. For nitrogen supply, they will do like this. Photosynthesis also will be happening. Chlorophyll also will be present. For nitrogen supply, they consume these type of insects. They are parasites. They are insectivorous. So these are called insectivorous. Parasites means what they will do. They will grow like creepers. They will just attach to any host plant and suck up the nutrients from it. So those are called parasites. So sometimes plants may be insectivorous also and parasites also. So the third is cellulosic cell wall. So these in plants the cell wall has cellulose, whereas in animal cell the cellulose are not present. Only in plants, if in the cell wall the cellulose will be present. That is why they tell cellulosic cell wall. Next is cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan in occurrence. That is, they are present everywhere. The plant is present everywhere. So you know, in forest if you go means it will be in tiny sizes also. It will be in huge sizes also. It is present everywhere. Plants are present everywhere. So that is why they are cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan means they occur everywhere. So first is these kingdom plantae. They are eukaryotic, chlorophyllous, photosynthetic and multicellular, partially insectivorous like insectivorous or parasites. They are not fully but partially. A part of them will be insectivorous for some supply. So that's why they are partially insectivorous and cellulosic cell wall. They have cellulose in their cell wall and cosmopolitan in occurrence. The last kingdom is kingdom Animalia. So in kingdom Animalia, all the multicellular animals are put under kingdom Animalia. First is they are heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means they depend on other organisms for food. So example, we are heterotrophic. We depend on plants, animals for nutrition, for food. So we are heterotrophic. We do not synthesize our own food. So next is eukaryotic multicellular organisms. So eukaryotic means the cells are well developed. Well developed cell organelles are present. So we have such developed organelles. So that's why we are called as eukaryotes. As eukaryotic cell is present. So we are multicellular organs. Since we are higher organisms, we have many cells in our body. So each group of cells have their own specific function. Next is they lack cell wall and chlorophyll. So in animal cell, the cell wall is not present, but the plant cell they have cellulosic cell wall. Whereas here no cell wall is present, only cell membrane is present and chlorophyll is absent. So we are not green in color. We do not synthesize our own food. So that is why the chlorophyll is lacking. We do not synthesize our food. We are not autotrophic. We are heterotrophic. And next is holozoic nutrition. That is, we depend fully on the other organisms on nutrition for food. That is why we are called as holozoic nutrition. We consume holozoic nutrition. And this food is stored as glycogen. So when food is consumed, it will go stored in our body as glycogen. It will be converted and stored as glycogen. So these are the characteristics of kingdom Animalia. First is heterotrophic, eukaryotic, multicellular organisms. They lack cell wall and chlorophyll, holozoic nutrition, and stores food as glycogen. So these are the kingdoms of living things. These are the 5 kingdom classification. So first, I will give you a recap of this. First, we saw kingdom fungi. They are eukaryotic, well-defined cell organelles are present. They are achlorophyll, no chlorophyll. Heterotrophic means they depend on other organisms for nutrition. Spore bearing means they have spores for reproduction. Non-vascular, the xylem and phloem are absent. The fungi is divided into 4 subtopics. First is Phycomyces. They are also called as lower fungi. They live in aquatic habitats. They live in water only. Example, Rhizopus. Ascomycetes means they are also known as sac fungi. They are saprophytes. They live on dead and decayed matter. They are multicellular. Many cells are present. Example, Neurospora. The third is the Basidiomycetes. Example, Agaricus. They are also called as club fungi. So the mushrooms and bracket fungi are put under Basidiomycetes. Deuteromycetes are also called as fungi imperfect. So their vegetative phase is known. So before reproduction itself, their growth of rate, when they will grow, the growth phase will be known. That is why they call as vegetative phase is known. Example, Fusarium. So next we are moving on to kingdom Plantae. They are eukaryotic. Well-defined cell organelles are present. Chlorophyllous means the chlorophyll will be present. Photosynthetic means they can process the photosynthesis. And next is multicellular. Many cells are present. Partially insectivorous means sometimes they also consume insects for some nutrition. Example, nitrogen. So they are partially, a part of them is insectivorous. Photosynthesis also takes place and they are insectivorous also. Like insectivorous, or they may be parasites also. They attack a host plant and consume nutrition. Next is cellulosic cell wall. The cell wall is present and they are made up of cellulose. And cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan means they are present everywhere. Plants are cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan means they are present everywhere. And next is kingdom Animalia. So they are heterotrophic. They depend on other organisms for nutrition. They cannot feed themselves. Eukaryotic multicellular organisms. Well-defined cell organelles are present and many celled organisms. There are many celled organisms. They lack cell wall and chlorophyll. The presence of chlorophyll is not there and they lack cell wall. Cell wall is not present, only cell membrane is present. Holozoic nutrition. So we fully depend on other organisms for nutrition. So it is known as holozoic type of nutrition. Example, human beings. We are also holozoic nutrition. So it stores food as glycogen. When food is consumed, it gets converted into glycogen and stored in our body. So these are the characteristics of Animalia. So these are the 5 kingdom classification. First is Monera, Protista, Fungi, Kingdom Plantae, Kingdom Animalia. So we saw all the kingdoms in detail. That's all for today's class, children. Your classwork will be given through PDF in WhatsApp. Copy that neatly in your notebooks. Thank you, children.